Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa azwajihi wa zurriyyatihi ajma'in. There is a tradition within Islamic philosophy as well as Ilm al-Kalam, which calls Plato alilahi. And alilahi means belonging to Allah. In English, we have Divine Plato. But the interpretation we have in Islamic tradition is different from divine interpretation we have in Greek tradition, according to which Plato was divine because he was actually the son of God, Apollo, according to one tradition. But in the Islamic tradition, they call him alilahi because they think that he believed in Allah. He believed in one God. He was a monotheist. And he was somehow filled with the love of God, I guess. So we find that in Shahrastani, for example, in his book Tarikh al-Milal wa-Nihal. And even to this day, for example, recently I read a book by we are reading a book by Mufti of Sheikh al-Hadith and Mufti of Darul Deoband, who recently died, Maulana Sayyid Palanpuri. And in his book Mu'in al-Falsafa, which is a commentary on a basic philosophy text, which is studied in Darul Deoband and other Muslim madaris in India and Pakistan. And he basically said the same thing, and probably he got it from Shahrastani or somebody who quoted Shahrastani or some other author. Anyway, so let's look at what Shahrastani says and see whether there's any credibility of this tradition as far as the known and published works of Plato are concerned. Okay. So this is from second volume of Tarikh al-Milal wa-Nihal, is on Plato. And these footnotes are from the editor of the book, so I won't go into that, but I will just focus on Shahrastani's own word. So about Plato, he said alilahi, the divine. Not divine, but belonging to God. In Urdu, Maulana Sayyid translated as Allah wala, which we call, so which shouldn't be translated as divine, because Allah wala mean a person who is filled with the love of God, etc. Al-Ilahi ibn Rasa. So instead of calling him Plato, obviously he calls him Plato here, right? Aflatun, he calls him Al-Ilahi, the man belonging to God, who was the son of Ariston, the son of Aristocles, that's his grandfather's name. And according to some tradition, that was the actual name of Plato, because that was a common tradition in ancient Greek, to name a person after their grandfather. Minasinia from Athens. Anyway, so why he's calling him a person of God, a man of God? Yeah, in English you would translate it man of God. Because here he says that Ma'ruf bit-tawheed wal hikmah. So he's well known for monotheism, belief in one God, and wisdom. So that's why he's calling them the and then he goes on to say that and he said innahu qala, Plato used to believe that the world is created, it has beginning. Sorry, inna lil alami muhdisan. So there is a creator of a God who created it out of nothing, mubdian, and that creator has no beginning, and this creator is a necessary being, so it's self sustained or qayyum, but it's the cause of itself, it doesn't have any, and this God knows everything. And he was the first when there was nothing in the world except an ideal type with God, and that ideal type might be called element or hayula. Hayula can be translated as pure matter, pure content. And so he's just trying to explain what this misal ideal archetype mean really. So there was nothing there, only an ideal type in his knowledge, and then he created first he created reason, the first, and then so he created anyway. He goes on to explain Plato's philosophy, but what we are interested in here is he interprets or interpreting Plato as believing in one God and believing in monotheism, and that's why he calls him Plato, he calls him a man of God or alilahi. But obviously that interpretation is quite strange as far as it's basically interpreting Plato according to Islamic doctrines. But Plato, obviously, if we read his work, it's unclear. Firstly, Greeks don't have any conception of creation ex nihilo, which we have in Islamic and Christian tradition. So even if Plato believed in God, he that God wasn't a creator in the Islamic sense of the word. And secondly, there are many gods in Greece. So obviously, Plato was pagan as well, but even philosophically, it's, it's not clear whether his God is the supreme being, because in Plato's hierarchy we have there is a conception of one God which is more like a cosmic principle. But anyway, even if we take this God as a person, there's a thing called good or al khair, which is above God, to which, and then there are many smaller gods underneath that God. So even if we say that this is a conception of one God, there are two things. Firstly, this one God is not a creator. There's no conception of creation in Greek philosophy or in Plato's known work. And secondly, in Plato's, even when he talks about one God, there is he's not a supreme God. There is something superior to this God, which is good. And also, probably this God is a cosmic principle, like Aristotle's conception of God. Okay.